Amy, thank you for joining us for Azure Architects Know Before You Go. Ignite is just 1 week away. We're here to we have an audience from all around the world that are going to be attending both in person and virtually. And we're hoping to get your insights and some curation around what the architects should do or see. Do you want to introduce yourselves very quickly?
Sure. I'm Amy Collier, esteemed colleague of Pierre's. We work together in the cloud advocacy group for IT pros. So Ignite is definitely like an exciting time for us. It's our flagship event, and really excited to be here and talk about it.
Fantastic. Pierre?
Yeah, my name is Pierre Roman. Going to age myself here. I've been in the IT industry for 37 years now. Yeah. And like Amy, we are on the developer advocates team, even though we're not developers. We deal in operations and infrastructure and virtualization and all that good stuff for Microsoft. And as Amy said, Ignite is the one event of the year that we all look forward to.
Oh yeah,
Fantastic. Fantastic. So I hear you're both going to be going, and Amy, you're local to the Chicago area.
Chicago adjacent. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for the attendees in terms of coming into the night? Folks are going to be
Yeah.
landing at the airport. We're going to obviously talk about the sessions here in just a second, but for those folks coming into town, do you have any recommendations in terms of
For sure. Actually, I'm going to share my screen because coming in, it looks like we're having Seattle weather, so wear layers. At least it's not going to be snowing. It is November in Chicago. Here, if I share my screen, though, a lot of people like to take Ubers, but if you're coming in from O'Hare, you're going to want to check out the public transportation. So if you can see my screen,
Yep.
get the McCormick Place. All right, because my cursor doesn't want to come over. All right, here we go. So we have a Venture app, so you can check out the Pace buses, take the L, it's the elevated train. So it actually on the website will show you if you're coming from O'Hare, what you want to take the green line, So, and then if you're taking it from the airport, it'll tell you take the blue line and then take the green line. So it's a faster way to get in. If you Uber, like I think someone experienced this as like a 50-minute drive and it gets costly. So just other ideas to get there safely. And then, or I mean, you could take a divvy bike too. You can rent a bike and ride it over. But highly recommend once you're in the US, because I know we have some people outside of the US, downloading the Venture app. I think it works on Android and iPhone, and it'll definitely help you. But of course, we have transportation from the hotels. We'll have shuttles, for sure.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm
Yeah.
really excited about Ignite this year. There are going to be twice the number of attendees. It's going to be a much larger show. So for folks coming, where do you want to back into, the sessions and the keynote? The keynote, is Satya going to be speaking this year?
Oh yeah, we have keynotes. The session schedule is really great, and our fearless leader, one of our fearless leaders, Rick Klaus, he actually posted, I think, on LinkedIn and on Twitter, just a way to pin the mobile app. So you can go to this on your phone and actually pin the website as an app. So you can get there quickly, look at what sessions are coming up, hit notifications and get notified of what, hey, you might be missing this. So the keynotes always on everyone's schedule. You have Satya, Charlie Bell, Scott Guthrie, so Rajesh. So that'll be exciting. And then what we recommend is if you can't get to something, you can't add it to your schedule, it's going to conflict with something else, you can click save to favorites, and now you can go back and watch that. So, but actually this one will not be recorded, so that will not be accessible. So usually the theater sessions aren't recorded, but the breakouts are. So if there's a breakout you really don't want to miss, add that to your backpack and maybe go to the hands-on lab instead, since that's like on site and not recorded.
Yeah, it's always a good idea that in your schedule to basically double and triple book your schedule, because you may get to the room of the session that you really want to see and it might already be full.
Right.
So you have something else to fall back to. And then because all of the breakouts are recorded, as Amy just mentioned, you can go back and watch the recording later if they're in your calendar or if they're in your digital backpack.
Exactly.
Fantastic. And Pierre, Amy, are there certain sessions that people can pre-register for that you're saying so that they can
Oh
reserve
yeah.
a spot?
The popular
Yes.
ones you want to pre-register or you're not going to get it, so there's going to be Mark Rozinovich is always a popular speaker. He's very smart, speaks well and funny, so his sessions always get booked up. And same with Scott Hanselman, he's there with Mark. They're always a good duo. So a lot of those like big sessions they'll definitely fill up, so be
But
sure
I
to register.
but I think what you're referring to is in the calendar or in the schedule
Mhm.
builder. On some session, it'll say like add to your calendar, but
Mhm.
some will ask for an RSVP.
Oh,
Those
gotcha.
particular sessions are labs or panel discussions where seating is limited.
Right,
So
good
you
point.
want to basically lock your time in or lock your space in that room so that you have to be registered or you have to be um, registered for that particular session for them to let you in and take your seat. So if you see that the RSVP is grayed out or something, that means that session is already full.
Yeah, if you see my screen, our labs are popular, so a lot of session fulls, but there's an RSVP for get real with real-time intelligence. But yeah,
Fantastic. So a lot of our audience members are architects. You mentioned Mark Rabinovich, I can't pronounce his name.
Rosinovich, that's okay.
Help me, Amy. So he's going to be speaking on new innovations. Do you want to bring up his session at all, or
Sure.
what do you
Well,
recommend for architects in terms of the cutting edge? Not there tends to be sort of bread and butter sessions that we see over time, but Mark's in particular sounds like he's going to be focusing on new and up and coming technology.
yeah, what's great is you can search by speaker and we'll see he has the Inside Azure Innovations. So he'll always go over the latest announcements and Azure Intelligence. We, have a lot of new announcements coming out at Ignite. But there's also this, I think this will be great. Scott and Mark learn responsible AI because again, they bring humor into the tech as well. So they'll show you prompting with LLMs and learning to be responsible and secure your data. So,
Yeah.
but there is going to be something for everyone. There's, storage innovation. It's not just all AI. So there's networking, AKS,
Yeah, Mark's innovation session is always it's a bit more than just what's the announcements. He kind of goes deeper into the architecture of that new service and how it works behind the scenes, as much as we can tell without selling the secret sauce. But
Right.
it's usually very deep, very technical, and they're really great. In terms of architect, if you're in a particular industry, when you're in the session builder on the left-hand pane, if Amy, if you want to,
Yeah.
under
Section.
the topic area, there
One
is
down.
a section for industry. So
Oh, yeah.
those are industry specific. So if whether you're in healthcare, whether you're in finance, in manufacturing, there are some very specific sessions that are targeted to those industries. So depending on what industry you're an architect in, those might be something you want to look at.
Yeah. See what other people are doing in healthcare.
So one
Looks
of
like
the
there's.
sessions was by a fellow from Thermo Fisher, and that was he was speaking about generative AI. So to your point, Amy, on healthcare, are there any customers? I love, Microsoft, promotes AI with brewing beer. Are there any customer sessions that, oh, I mean,
Oh,
maybe not
sure.
hands-on labs brewing beer with AI, but are there going to be any customer sessions that you particularly recommend with specific customers like Thermo Fisher?
Oh yeah, I think there's interviews and you can definitely get customer sessions. So now I have too many filters here. Um, as far as customers that I know, I'm not like in the healthcare. We have different, little silos, but looks like yeah, we have AT&T, and I'm sure we'll have healthcare providers how they're using generative AI to help, whether they're like a medical center teaching students. That I see that a lot and hear about that a lot. But as far as exact ones, I'd have to do a search. You know? But definitely a lot of industry leaders and like maybe early adopters sharing their experience to help you like what they experienced like problems with, what they learned from it, and best practices that they use going forward.
Fantastic. So
Yeah.
last year, we heard a lot. There seemed to be a theme of Copilot. You know, it was almost a mantra. Are we still going to be what are there new themes coming out this year? Are there new mantras that we should be looking for and listening for from the trends? And certainly coming out of Mark's session or the keynote.
I think there's going to be a focus this year. Last year was generative AI and LLMs was kind of like the new shiny thing. So we were all kind of looking at that and peppering co-pilots into every one of our products. This year, I think it's going to be a little further where we're going to talk a lot about how you can integrate LLMs and AI capabilities into your own product. So how do you create your own agent? How do you leverage, for example, AI Studio or Copilot Studio in order to make your application and include AI or LLMs where it makes sense? Because you don't want to be smattering AI over all of your products into places where you're not going to get any ROI. So you really have to look at to where the benefits will be for your stakeholders, for your customers, for your internal partners, wherever that may be, and put the AI capabilities where it actually makes sense. So I
Right. And
think there's
that's
going to be a lot of push on that this year.
yeah, making your own Copilot is a big one because like even with I work with a lot with Azure VMware solution and we have a lab and we're going to show integrating with OpenAI search where you can create a RAG model, a chat, and you point it to your SQL database and it just learns it. It doesn't train the LLM model, so your information is secure, but it augments the response with your personal data. Like, you know, if you're a shoe company, what are the best hiking shoes? It takes the data out of the database and so this has positive sentiment and then it'll prompt back to the person asking the question. So a lot of that coming up. It's really neat because I think it's helping a lot of companies out, whether it's with internal data like how many PTO days do I have or
And
what are the best hiking shoes.
you'll be doing labs on that, Amy, or is that it can be a separate?
Yeah, I am proctoring a lab for Azure VMware Solution. It runs 3 days. And we're going to go over using Azure VMware Solution, but also using OpenAI on it.
Fantastic.
So it's a pretty good lab. We did it at Explore as well, and it was really good feedback from people.
I think another focus that we're going to see this year is on the security side of AI. Because there's been concern in the industries that what if I ask, like, I'll give you an example that I've been told by a customer where somebody went out to their internal portal where they had put in some kind of chatbot and enabled kind of like Copilot capabilities onto their own SharePoint, and the user went in and say, "Hey, what is the list of salaries in this company?" And then all of a sudden, a document with the listing of everybody's salary was promoted. It's not the AI that is breaking security. It's the security that's lacking before you apply AI, because AI will only show you what you have access to. But if you're in your SharePoint, in your file shares and everything else, if you haven't taken care of the basics and the security, AI will just expose that. So there's going to be a lot of focus on that. One in particular that I'm interested in is BRK 328, which is making zero trust real. The top 10 security controls that you can implement right now. So we're not talking vaporware. We're not talking new products coming. It's the top 10 controls that you can enable within your organization right now in order to bring the organization closer to zero trust. And
That's
the closer you get to that, well, the better the AI will be able to not surface information that you don't want public.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. Yeah, there was also I think a very famous story about a chatbot that issued a customer asked a chatbot for a refund. This was actually in Canada,
Oh
where
man.
you're located, Pierre.
Yeah.
And it said yes, and the courts ruled that the chatbot basically entered the company into a contract on its behalf
Oh wow.
and had to give the refund, even though the company didn't have any intention to do so.
Oh,
So,
that's
like your internal security use case there, it also can certainly externally affect you as well,
mhm.
without the proper, governance in addition to security. So I'm glad that Microsoft is looking to, address these advanced use cases.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
we are talking about generative AI, so it generates language and responses based on the prompts that you ask. So it tries to figure out intent and then gives you
Mhm.
an answer based on the training and the information it has access to. So if you look in Copilot Studio, for example, there's a slider for the temperature of the AI. So if you put it cold, it's going to be very matter of fact. And if it's not in my database, I'm not giving you an answer. But if you put it hot, it gets a little bit more creative with its answers. So you can do that. You can play in your development environment, of course, play with the temperature of your AI, but also set it into such a way that if it's not 100% sure of the answer, to default to the RAG model, which will just do a search internally on documents or information that may have that information and provide the links to the documents versus generating an answer that it's not 100% sure of.
Mhm.
That's fantastic. So it's going to the source of truth documentation versus, hallucinating some sort of response into a question that may be grounded in something, but not
Yes.
your company information.
Yes,
Right.
and that's something that I've experienced personally, where as a test, we were doing some work with generative AI and pair coding with like GitHub Copilot, for example. And somebody asked me, well, what's the difference between GitHub Copilot versus going to Chat GPT and asking the same question? So we did try. And in GitHub Copilot, because the model is trained on code and not just on a section of the internet like ChatGPT is, and it's very tuned to code assisted or code pairing assisted. Well, the answer we got in Copilot, GitHub Copilot versus the answer on ChatGPT just basically hallucinated a bunch of lines in that PowerShell code we were looking at and inserted like 10 lines of C# code in the middle. Because at the time it wasn't quite sure what it wanted, and it just,
Mhm.
because ChatGPT and the nature of the GPT model, I just created based on what it had learned, but it couldn't make the difference between a PowerShell and a C# piece of code. So
It
when you're
sounds
building your own agent, you have a little bit more control over what kind of or how creative your agent can be.
Right.
it sounds like, in other words, that the RAG model really curates specifically to your organization
For sure.
meaningful answers versus a very general purpose model like AI model that's trained on the entire internet. It
Well,
doesn't
yeah, because
have
it's only as good as the time it was trained. It could be outdated. So, we played with it too. Like like write me a Python script for this, and it was totally outdated. Didn't even follow the documentation. But again, if you're going to use like a GitHub Copilot, you'll get a more precise answer. So again, yeah, using RAG, you're going to use your own company data and give a precise answer versus like guessing or just looking at just documentation. So.
That's fantastic. So for the architects here, a lot of them are extremely advanced.
Mhm.
Is there any way that we can get them to advanced sessions and advanced labs? Is there any way
Oh
that
yeah.
we can make sure that they're not, that we're meeting them at the high level that they're at in their experience.
Well, you can also choose by level. So there's a lot of level 300. That's Ignite's meant to be like a level 300 conference. So you can pick based on level as well, like 300 or 400. Obviously, those labs, they are going to be very, not complex, but deep. So you're getting hands-on learning. Because we have pre-day labs. I think a lot of them might have sold out already, but like on security, on containers, on there's so many topics. So you can definitely search based on the level. There's just, and then you can, based on your audience, like if you're more on the partner side or just you want technical. I think what's really great is just the expo and the theater sessions, because those aren't going to be recorded, but if you go to these theater sessions, they're these quick presentations. They're not recorded, but you can just kind of do a drive-by and learn like a lot of information in a small amount of time, and then network with people who are trying to learn about the same thing. So
So
it's definitely,
that's going to be on the showroom. Those with the hubs where the partners will be. Is that right, Amy?
Yes, the
yeah.
theater sessions are typically like 4 or 5 different. I'm not exactly sure what the number of them, but they're
Mm,
like in opposite corners, let's say, of the hub, and they
right.
go on pretty much all day, and
Yeah.
they're 10 to 15 minutes. They're discouraged to have too much PowerPoint, so they want to have like demo, impactful, quick bites, less marketing, get to the answers quickly, and then
Yes.
move on to the next one. You
Hmm.
don't have to register. You just kind of show up, and if there's a seat, you take it. If not, you can stand behind.
Hmm.
Um, they're really cool. I'm actually delivering a couple of, but not at Ignite, but at the AI tour, and I found that because of the limited time you have, you really cut through the the level 200 and you go straight to the meat on the bone, and you talk directly about what the problem is and how you're addressing it.
Hmm.
But you were talking about how does somebody elevate their training and or get better. I think one of the things about an event like Ignite, as much as the level 300 and the level 400 sessions are like deep technical, going to the hub and talking with the expert in the expert area, in the area that you're interested in, will
Hmm.
get you a lot of value. And this is not something you're going to get after the event. So
Right.
if you have a choice between meeting the expert, the whether it's the engineer that built the product or a partner that's doing fantastic work with similar technologies that you want to learn from, you may want to prioritize that into the breakout room, because you can always rewatch the breakout room and get the deck after the event. But that
Hmm.
person is only going to be at the Meet the Experts booth for that week.
Hmm.
So this
That's a
is
good point.
something important, I think.
Yeah, because you're going to
Now,
have Windows 2025 people, you're going to have Azure native people, there's developers, there's infrastructure, so there'll be experts for every technology.
it's fantastic. And so, in terms of, we've talked a little bit about the keynotes. We've talked a bit about advanced labs and getting the most out of the sessions. The theater sessions are with the partners and the Microsoft in the exhibition hall.
Hmm.
What else do you think, what are there any specific customer presentations, or in addition to we spoke about some of the innovate talking about innovation and new product features. What else really excites you about Ignite this year that you're looking forward to? Certainly, besides Amy being close to your hometown, and being able and Pierre being able to come in and enjoy some of the great food that Chicago has to offer.
Oh, yeah.
What else do you recommend that people not miss?
One of the other breakouts I put on my list was it's BRK 219, simplifying operations with AI, Copilot in Azure Arc and Azure Monitor. So I know it's another AI session, but it's really how AI is making your job simpler and actually enables you to be like more secure, more automated. So that was one of them. And then the other one was BRK 241. And that's really going into it's proactively design and build resilient workloads on Azure. So we're not all about AI, but resiliency, like keeping that application up, keeping it secure, baseline monitoring, using the well-architected framework. So really not just throwing something into the cloud, but using those like landing zone practices. And I think it's a really good way for people to just get familiar with Azure and what it has to provide like resiliency for your workloads, using Azure regions and items like that. So that was my other selection.
I'm actually going a little bit the other way.
Oh yeah.
I've got two sessions that I'm really looking forward to. One is BRK 238, which is the Windows Server 2025, new ways to gain cloud agility and security. That one
Windows is dying.
Pardon me?
Windows is dying. People kept saying, what's happening with Windows?
No, Windows is not dying, and Hyper-V is alive and well and thriving. Right.
Exactly.
But that one, it's because if we look at all of or the majority of our infrastructure and organizations across the world are using AD and policies and group policies and all kinds of Windows Server services. With the new version, like the upgrade process, the fact that we've deprecated certain protocols in terms of authentication, for example, to make it more secure. So we're kind of like that session's kind of revisit the highlights of the new version, which is G8 now. I think it G8 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So you can download it and actually take advantage of that right away and affect what basically becomes the foundation of your whole organization or the IT organization. The other one is BRK 395, which is getting started with Azure Kubernetes services for Windows admin servers. Is a lot of our audience, we've been managing servers and we've been managing workloads and clusters and resilient for decades now. And the paradigm had not really shifted. And then a few years ago, AKS or Kubernetes came out and everybody was talking about it. But our conversations with the audience has kind of let us know that on the IT side, there's always a question as well, how does my skill and my decade old skills of managing infrastructure in a clustered VM kind of way, how does that translate to Kubernetes? What do I need to relearn or adjust my thinking about? So that session I'm looking forward to on that one because
wait a minute, I think you're plugging yourself, right? Yeah.
it was a bit of a shameless plug, but
if you can learn it, anyone can learn it. You are a Windows admin, infrastructure guy.
So. Yeah, through and through. But this was a very late addition to Ignite based on some of the comments and feedback that we had gotten. So we decided to put that out.
And Vinicius, he lives and breathes this stuff. So yeah, it'll be a great session.
So I'm the Windows guy, he's the container guy, and we're going to be doing like the dueling piano kind of deal.
Right. That's great.
Fantastic. So microservices, this is the foundation for microservices architecture, bringing that to Windows.
Yeah, but we're not talking about how you create those microservices. That's food for another table. We're really just talking about the operations and infrastructure people that have to support it once it gets into the organization, whether it's in the cloud or on-prem. How do these skills translate? What do you need to learn? What skills in the VM world correlate to the skills in the container world? And what are the differences are and how you need to adjust your thinking on it.
Fantastic.
Great.
Wonderful. And so what for the keynotes, are there themes that you're seeing emerge in the conference? It sounds like,
Well,
they're the themes that we've seen every year in terms of generative AI and security and the evolution of both the full technology stack of Microsoft. Any additional themes? Can you give us any hints about the keynotes like you were able to last year? Can you telegraph any punches that we're gonna get in the
I don't
keynote?
know if there's anything we can like leak without losing a job. Because you kind of hit it.
True, true. However, um, I have learned over the years because I've been going to Ignite and before Ignite Tech Ed since late 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been to a few of those, and you can always kind of get an idea of what's going to be talked about by which VP is going to be
Oh, right.
invited on stage during the keynote. So Satya is, of course, our spiritual leader. But then if you look, Charlie Bells, which kind of runs our security organization,
Mm-hmm.
Scott Guthrie that runs our CNAI organization, and then Rajesh, which runs our devices and experience organization. So you can make some parallels in terms of what's actually in the keynote. Um, they don't tell us.
What will be in
They
the
keep those
keynote?
cards really, really close to their chest. But I will tell you that there are going to be multiple ways of watching the keynote.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be the main room, but from what I understand, there's going to be um, they call them overflow rooms, but some of those overflow rooms will have different experiences.
Right.
So prior to the keynote, there may be some fireside chat of people that we know or people that we want to know on stage. Different, maybe one will be more um, fun and like one year they had a DJ in one of the rooms and it was kind of like a party, a little bit more of a party atmosphere. The other one was more decision makers, CXO kind of like round table in front of the
Nice.
room because there's not always enough space in the main keynote room for everyone.
Right. It's exciting to be in the main room, but if you have a lot on your plate, I always like I'll just stream it on my laptop and watch in a nice, quiet, comfy area, and then hit
Yeah,
the ground
I
running.
understand. I think Patch and Switch will be making an appearance in one of those rooms.
Oh, nice.
So there's a huge number of remote attendees versus in-person attendees, as many as 200,000 remote attendees.
Oh,
So
wow.
they'll be able to see the keynotes.
Mhm.
Are there other sessions beyond keynotes that or any recommendations that you have for the remote attendees versus in person?
Definitely all the breakouts are streamed and recorded. So anything being recorded will be streamed as well. So if it says in person only, then it won't be streamed because like those theater sessions would be really hard to record all the time. The labs are obviously you have 100 seats and someone's walking you through a hands-on lab. So items like that won't be streamed, but the online version should be just as great, like to get all the updates and because we even have a host as well. We have a few hosts, right? And Sarah Young is hosting.
Yeah.
She'll be our MC for Ignite, for in person and for online.
So I did do a RAG lab actually a year ago, or it was maybe 9 months ago. And one of the great things about the labs was that it was a Microsoft tour, and they were here in the Bay Area, and
Mhm.
they had the labs in GitHub.
Yeah.
So that's something that's I thought was really wonderful is that even though remote attendees may not have, be able to raise their hand and ask the proctor for help with the lab, they can still go to GitHub and find the content material and see if they can bootstrap them before a local tour comes to their town. So that's getting hands-on with the product is always a fantastic way to get straight to the source of truth there. Uh,
So a lot of those will be available, but maybe not right away. Like for
Mhm.
example, I'm building two labs, and I think Amy, you're working on one too as well.
So yeah, the
Um,
Azure VMware.
yeah, some of those labs, because of the way they're being delivered through one of our partners. The infrastructure is already built because some of those labs are like an hour long. So you don't want to spend 3 hours building an infrastructure to run an hour long lab. They will, however, some of them be modified with a long list of prerequisites and then published on GitHub. The ones that I'm working on are definitely going to be in that category, where they may not be available outside of Ignite immediately after Ignite, but once we come back from Ignite and catch our breath, we'll be able to modify them and tweak them for general use, and then they'll be on GitHub.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I remember we did that last year with our Windows.
Yeah.
lab.
So, and then the customer appreciation event, Amy, I'm not familiar with where it's being held. Can you tell us a little something about that?
Well, it's at
location?
Navy Pier, and I'm more familiar with outside of Navy Pier, you know, the Ferris wheel and all the food vendors and rides. So it's inside. So honestly, I'm gonna be surprised as well. I'd have to ask Rick. He's like got the true insights to everything. But it looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun, and enough space for everyone to have a good time. Because
I think they're
weather,
keeping some secrets
yeah.
on
So
purpose.
exactly.
like a
So, but
band
it's at
or
Navy
music
Pier, which is
or
a beautiful location. So either way, it'll be exciting. And there
fantastic.
is a backpack this year. Rick did on an unveiling of the backpack and what's featured and the water bottle. So people who are into the swag, we have digital swag as well with like Chicago hot dog gifts and everything. So keep it
Yeah,
fun as well.
I am looking forward to some deep dish and some good hot dogs.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And so and the it's a little bit cold for the architectural boat tour to see
Yeah.
all the architecture that Chicago has to offer. But Amy, is there a couple things that people should try before they leave Chicago?
Oh man, it's mostly food. Like I have a whole list of pizza places to go to. But then even like if like just the culture is great, like Chinatown for, you know, great Chinese experience. And there's just so many different neighborhoods if you have time. That's the problem, is finding the time while you're learning and on the go. And Navy Pier itself is an attraction. There's the Museum of Science and Industry. There's what is it? The Willis Tower now, but we'll always call it the Sears Tower. You know, the John Hancock building actually has where you can lean out over the building, and I forget what it's called, that experience. And then there's also like it's called like Color Factory. I don't know. It's like a fun, different themed rooms to go through if you want to just have fun and take fun pictures. Definitely plenty to do and see and eat and drink coffee. There's cafes everywhere. You don't have to go to Starbucks Reserve, but that's a popular place as well. There's a Reserve. So it's a fancy Starbucks. But there's just, yeah, so much to do and so much to enjoy. So I hope I have time for a slice of pizza with Pierre.
Fantastic. Well, look,
Absolutely. There was one thing I wanted to we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
Built into the tool and the website at the bottom, we have like the Ignite Copilot, if you will. I don't
Yes.
know if that's the official name of it, but there we did put some AI agent into the website. So at the bottom, you see that little bar that says "Ask me anything about Microsoft Ignite." In this one, you can ask like who are the experts on this technology, or who's presenting this, and you'll get the name of the people. And then if you look at the attendee directory, you could actually schedule one-on-one meetings with those people. So if you're looking at a very specific scenario, you'll be able to get the name of the people that are presenting or experts in that environment or that technology through the Copilot on the website, and then using that name, you can go to the attendee directory, book some time with them directly in order to get answers to your question. I think that's something we hadn't talked about. I wanted to make sure everybody kind of was aware of that.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, Ignite is I view it really as the premier networking and customer focused event. And so this is the vehicle to bring people together in really one-on-one fashion. So no, I'm very glad you highlighted that, Pierre.
Yeah. I
Amy,
like that it's networking with learning and teaching, and I'm really looking forward to it.
well, I'm
10,000
excited about
attendees.
both your labs and sessions. Is there anything that you want to leave all the architects and executives that have joined our presentation today? Is there anything you want to leave them with in specific or general?
Stay
Wear
hydrated.
comfortable shoes.
Right. I wear my Hokas mostly because you get a good 20,000 steps usually if you're running around session to session. At least it's McCormick West, so at least it's only half the building, but you'll still get some good steps in. Take breaks, a lot of coffee. But networking, I think like Pierre said, the networking aspect is you can't replace that. So it's, the in-person networking is an amazing time to talk to that product group that you wanted to talk to Jeff Woolsey about Windows 2025, to get your questions answered. So, and then meeting peers.
Well, fantastic.
It's going to be at least twice as big as last year was
Yeah.
in
It's the
terms
biggest
of amount of people there. So
in
it should
5
be very
years,
exciting.
the biggest Ignite in 5 years, I believe. So yeah, we're coming back bigger and better. Hopefully next year, even bigger.
Well, fantastic. Well, I encourage everyone who is coming to the event to find Amy, find Pierre, find myself, meet us in person. And for those folks that are attending virtually, please reach out to us on LinkedIn. And either way, whether you're a virtual attendee or in person, we're excited to connect with you in Microsoft Ignite 2024.
Yeah, definitely.
I
See
want
you
to
there.
thank you, Pierre. Thank you, Amy, for joining us today.
Thanks,
And
Karen.
we'll look forward to seeing everyone at the conference.
Yep, some
Yes.
comfy shoes. Comfy shoes.
With bells on and my Chicago Blackhawks jersey.
Yeah, I wish we were winning, but
Sounds great. All right. Thank you all.
thank you.
Take care.
Cheers.